Hi everyone, so today I want to show you this card. Now this was actually requested, an A5 version of one that I did in 5x7. So I've made this one, and I think when I did a 5x7 one I did actually do one that was this way round, but I decided to go for this way round for the A5. So I'm using my Yuletide Wishes paper pack for the poinsettias and also the greeting. And then for the papers I'm using my Holly Sprigs revised paper pad. Both of these are available on Amazon as paper pads. They're also both available as digital kits over on Ko-fi as well. So I'll put all the links in the description below. So basically the way it folds up, now this is still a bit wet because I've literally just made this. This twists to one side and goes, so it basically folds like that, and if you can imagine that little bit there just flips to one side and it folds flat. I'm not going to do it because these are still not completely dry. But yeah, so that's how you do it. So I've done that, and then on the back you've got space to write. If you wanted to put a pattern piece here as well or another white bit you could. But yeah, so that is what we're going to do today. So let's get into it. Okay, so for this card, you're going to need a piece of base card that is 8 1/4 by 11 1/2. So almost an A4, but just a little bit shorter. Now we have to do scoring in two parts because of the cut lines that we're going to do. So for starters, we're going to do a score line halfway at 5 3/4. So that is all fine and good. And then what I'm going to do now, I have actually got a template which I've cut out. So once I've done the score lines and that and the cut lines, I'll show you the template so you can screenshot it. But until then, we'll just keep going. So what we're going to do is you're going to have to come down 1.5 inches with this next score line. So you're scoring at 2 7/8, but you're only scoring down 1.5 inches. So I'm going to just guess it. So it's going to be about there. And then you also want to come up from the bottom, 2 7/8, and again, about 1.5 inches. Then you want to come over to 8 5/8, and again you're going to come down about 1.5 inches, and again from the bottom, so that's my 8, that would be my halfway mark, so that must be 5/8. So again, just come up roughly 1.5 inches. I've gone a bit over, but anyway. And then at 4.5, we are going to come down, but we want to start this 1.5 inches in and go to the top of the other score line. And then we're going to do the same on the other side of the line, and this is at 7 inches. So again, just bring it in a bit, come down about 1.5 inches. I think that's there, and then just score. Now, you're going to need to obviously work out exactly what you can sort of see my score lines. But as I said, I will bring in an actual template in a minute. Then I'm going to grab a cutting mat and a ruler. So those first two score lines that we did at 2 7/8 top and bottom, if you come along those, and what you want to do is just make sure that you are just make it a little basic little line, little dot at 1.5 inches, just so you know that you've got that the right amount. And then you also want to come up 1.5 inches from the bottom, which is oh, I thought I got it written down. Yes, I have. Is at 6 3/4, so 1.5 inches, and then at 6 3/4, which is here. And you're going to do the same on the other set of partial marks that go from the top and then stop. So again, so these were the marks that you did at 8 5/8. So again, you're just going to make a mark at 1.5 and at 6 3/4. And then what you want to do is take a Stanley knife and a metal rule, and you're going to cut between those two dots. So from one dot all the way to the other dot. And you're literally going to start at that score line and go all the way down till you meet the other score line, like that. And we're going to do the same over this side as well. So from one mark to the other. So from there all the way across until you get to the other score line, which is there. And that should give you that. Okay, so that's what you should have now. So you shouldn't, you see my score, I've started to score this. So you should have a cut line here. You can stick your hand in if you wish. So that was your 2 7/8, 1.5 inches down, and from the bottom up, 8 5/8 down and up 1.5 inches again. Your 5 3/4 all the way down, and then your 4.5 and 7 inches, which goes from that 1.5 inch down through to where the other one meets, basically. So that is. So if you want to screenshot that now, please do. And then we will continue. Now this is the back side of the card. You can do it this way around if you want to. So if you wanted to do it so it was this way around, you could, but we're going to do it this way around. Okay. So what we want to do now then, based off that, is we are going to do, so like going from the top, we're going to go valley, mountain, valley, and the same along the bottom. So valley, mountain, valley, and then in the middle we're going valley, mountain, valley. So again, valley, mountain, valley. And what I would do is just do this, literally just sort of give it a little bit of a tweak, kind of get it so it's kind of where it needs to be. This line here I haven't quite scored far enough, so I'm just going to bring my board back in again, just make sure, because obviously I was just getting it, so as a result I've ended up not quite scoring it all the way. There we go. I mean, you can, if you're using white card, you can actually draw a line, make a little mark at 1.5, 1.5, and then 1.5 in, 1.5 in, draw a line, and then you kind of know where your score lines need to go to. But if you're using dark card like I did, it makes it a little bit more tricky. And also it means you haven't got to rub stuff out if you're not drawing lines on things. So after you've done that, I'm just going to go ahead now and just kind of fold it down how it needs to be, like this, and give it a really good burnish. And we want to make sure these little bits here, so we want to make sure these, this whole line, these all line up with each other along the bottom, because they can squiff in sometimes. So we're going to just make sure those all line up and then give it a nice burnish. And the same with this side. So that's that side done. Just make sure this all lines up, and it does. Give that a nice burnish. And we're going to burnish the middle bit there. And then with it closed, we can just come in and just burnish these other fold lines and that one in the middle. Okay, so you should end up with that. Now, obviously, when I did it as a 5x7, I did it so it was part of a card and it opened up like that. So if you want to, you can do that. You can put this inside an A5 card and have it so that it does that. So it closes up and then it opens up like that. So you can do it that way around. I'm going to do it this way around because I quite like it that way around, and it also means a bit less decorating. So to start with, now again with this, you can decorate it different ways. If you wanted to, you could have one big piece that goes down here, one big piece that goes down there, and then 2 pieces there, 2 pieces there, and then same here, so you get 4 pieces. But I'm going to be doing it so that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and again at the bottom, some big 2 big pieces here and 2 little pieces here. Before we do all that though, because I often forget these things, I've actually cut out 2 pieces of base card that are 1 inch by 1 inch, and I've scored them halfway at 1/2 inch, and then I've put red tape on either side of the score lines. And what we're going to do is just going to fold them in half with the red tape facing out, and then take a pin or something you can do to take the backing off, grab your hinge, and then with the fold line lined up against this fold line here and nice and central, or as central as you can get it, you can measure it if you want. I'm just going to eye it. It's about there. You want to stick it down so you've got a little hinge there, and then you want to take the other tab like this, and again you want to go the other way around so it meets in the middle, butting up to the one you've just done. Now, if you are folding this in half, which I will be doing, so I will be folding it like this, okay? So it will be like this, which means that this is going to have to go slightly squiffy so it fits. So that's just something to think about. But yeah, I decided I'm going to do it. You could just put a greeting here and there's something else here if you want to. I decided I wanted a greeting in the middle, but I hadn't thought about the fact of the way I was closing it. But it's fine. It will be absolutely not a problem. So what we want to do next is decorate. So along the top, you are going to need in total 8 pieces of mat card, and these measure 1 1/4 by 2 5/8. And on top of that, you need to put 8 pieces of pattern paper, and these are 1 inch by 2 3/8. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and stick all of those down. So you should end up with that. So now we need 2 pieces. Actually, we'll do these ones first. 2 pieces of mat card, and these are 1 inch by 5 inches, and 2 pieces of pattern that are 3/4 by 4 3/4, and they're going to go on that middle bit there. Okay, so we should end up with that. Now then, you now need, I'm doing 3 pieces, but you could do 4 pieces if you wanted to, if you want like an extra one on the back. So I've got 3 pieces. I'm not quite sure which route this is supposed to go. Probably like that. 3 pieces that are 4 1/4 by 5 inches, and then I've got 2 pieces of pattern that are 4 by 4 3/4, and 1 piece of card that's 4 and 4, white card that's 4 by 4 3/4. So these 2 are going to go on here, and then that one's going to go on the back. You might want to do on the back a white piece and then another pattern piece, or you might want to do 2 white pieces. It's really up to you, but I thought I'm just going to go with the 1 white piece, I think. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick this down. So you should end up with that. Obviously, you've got your space on the back to write. As I said, if you want another panel here, you could. You could decorate the whole of the back up if you wanted to, but yeah. And then I have got a little greeting, which I'm going to put on here. Oh, actually, I'm just thinking now that's not going to close. Okay, so I had a reconsideration about this. And then what I'm going to do is this, I'm then going to put on silicone gel just here. Not going to make it too high. And then I've cut another wreath out, and this is out of the Yuletide Wishes pack. That's going to go there. This poinsettia is out of the Holly Sprigs, although there is poinsettias in the Yuletide Wishes as well. But that is going to go there. And then that will be my card done. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these down. Okay, so there you have your finished card. It stands up on the desk like that, and it will fold flat. I'm not going to fold it flat right now, but it folds flat like this. That goes to one side and the whole thing folds down. I'm not going to do it because otherwise it's going to squash the silicone gel. And there you have it. So don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.